I am about to blow my shofar and proclaim the word of the Lord for 2015. Well, actually, I just want to take some time and cast a little vision and chat about what I feel the next year holds for us. You know, back when everyone was into the annual prophecy rigmarole, you'd throw these little word of the year deals out around January 1st and try to explain the new thing God was going to do. Then we realized the new thing started about 2,000 years ago. As a matter of fact, it goes back to the foundation of the world. So, in retrospect, we realized every annual prophetic word was the same regurgitated crap. This is the year heaven will open. This is the year revival will begin. This is the year we'll cross over the river. Yada, yada, yada. Heaven's not just open, you are it. Revival isn't just coming, you are it. You've already crossed the river Jordan in his baptism and death. You are in the land flowing with milk and honey right here, right now. Jesus Christ is the land flowing with milk and honey. In the incarnation, Jesus stepped into time and space, and on the cross, he broke the bondage of the seasons. So it's quite irrelevant to me what the prophets are saying for 2015, 2016, 2015 good year, 16 bad year, up year, down year, in year, in 1 year, out the other year. I am living in a season called the continual year of the favor of the sovereign Lord. I'm living in a day called Sabbath rest. He is our Sabbath rest. I'm living in a season called the new covenant. It's called have your cake and eat it too. It's called all of heaven's bounty is yours, and anything that tries to prevent it only shakes it up so that double measure is poured out onto my lap all over again. I am living in a year called too good to be true. As the angel announced to Mary the most joyful news ever to hit planet Earth. That is the gospel. You know, my friend Matt Spinks posted the best New Year's resolution I've seen the other day. He said, I have resolved to know nothing but Christ and Him crucified. Guys, I'm telling you, Jesus broke the bondage of the seasons. We no longer have the excuse of the seasons. God's not in town today. Revival hasn't happened yet. I'm not anointed enough. I don't have enough money. I'm not healthy enough. I don't have enough education. Whatever the excuse or the season may be, let me tell you, He has given you His divine ability, His divine power and worth and authority in Jesus Christ. He could not give you anything more. You'd be a threat to the Trinity. I've met a millionaire before who was illiterate. He couldn't even read his business contracts. Somebody else read them for him. He just signed them. That is called moving in an anointing that far exceeds your human ability, talent, experience. That is favor. You know, as we lose sight of self and human limitations, we will see that it is the Lord who builds the house, or else the workers labor in vain. And the gospel's not just future telling. The gospel is the revelation of a breakthrough that is already yours, a healing that has already risen in His wings, favor that's already come to your doorstep. It doesn't require some doom and gloom season of breaking. And as with most, future-telling prophecies, they're usually conditioned by your prayers, your appropriations, and obedience to make them happen. But let me tell you that the gospel speaks of inheritance that is already yours, that you don't work for. You don't work for an inheritance. Your dad did. We don't appropriate this. We simply discover it. Faith isn't something we drum up. It's an effortless yes to what He has already accomplished. But now look, all of that said, I do not, in the words of the apostle, despise prophecy. So I do briefly want to cast a little vision on what I do see the church waking up to this year. And I also want to give a little bit of a personal heads up on some of the adventures and events that we have planned here at Sons of Thunder in 2015, as so many of you are part and parcels of this ministry, even ministry partners, and many of you guys track with us regularly and with the message here in the Jesus trip, you don't just listen, you are invested. And I want to give you a heads up. I think a big focus is about to return on communion and community, especially among those of us who have been tainted in the past by corporate blacklisting of the religious order. So many people get hurt by the church and they pull away in isolation. They get stagnant and bitter and they don't want anything to do with meetings because it's all this projection out of wounding. Because look, meetings aren't the issue. Meetings were never an issue. Meetings are just a format and construct for community. Even church structure is just a tool that should serve genuine relationships. We don't serve the structure, it serves us. But when we've been hurt by the church and relationships, we often build walls and pull away. Try to punish others even by retreating and saying, I don't need you. But we do need one another. We're made for union and togetherness, even with others that we don't necessarily agree with. And this is why I love celebration. I love Gandalf's quote in the latest Tolkien film, where he says of the Hobbit, if more of us valued food and cheer and song above hoarded gold, it would be a merrier world. This speaks to me of our celebratory life of togetherness, not just chasing our own individual life pursuits, but finding fulfillment in one another, not in isolation, withdrawal. And for me, gatherings are not an end in themselves. They're a tool that serves our unity and communion of bliss. All of our history, it sees the worshiping community hosting that commanded blessing from ancient Israel all the way to the New Jerusalem, that presence of God manifesting when brothers dwell together in unity. Psalm 133:1. And I love the glory on our corporateness. And it takes, concerted effort at times to come together, to gather. There's blessing. God promises on pilgrimages. Dude, people come from hundreds of miles just to gather together when we celebrate the gospel at our events. I mean, that still boggles me that people crave that corporate cloud of whack. Because honestly, I sometimes get accustomed to it on the road. I'm just drunk. There's glory on it. And there's an oil in the house of the wise, but the fool squanders it, takes it for granted. And I never want to take his glory for granted. We spread word about our events, and that's a practical thing, but Jesus does not need a PR man or forcing people into meetings to clock in every Sunday. And I'm not roping anybody into meetings just to fuel a machine. Look, you make space, and the junkies are going to gather. The people that want it are going to show up. And you make room for those who actually want it. Amen. In the day of his power, his troops will volunteer freely. And there is an expectation in the air when we come together. In my critique of religion, I have not crossed over into a cynicism that no longer believes in the miraculous for breakthrough or healing or financial thriving. There is such an acceleration on the tangible whack when we come together. I am pro-community, pro-healthy body life, pro-interdependence, and pro-family. I am pro-corporate worship. I am hammered drunk on the leading of many sons to glory. Another thing that I see coming, and you're going to see more people talking about it in this coming year, is a shaking off of this cynicism that soured so many of us at times. Of course, there is a place for questioning and critique and reevaluation, but that is always in light of the scriptures and the love of God. It seems like anything that's corporately held as sacred these days has to go on the chopping block just because the evangelicals believe in it, or it's considered, a doctrine of absolute truth. Well, let me clearly say there are absolute truths, but our absolute truth is a living, breathing truth. It's not legalistic or narrow-minded to say that truth is absolute. It's so trendy these days with postmodern Christians to question, and you're not allowed to be certain about anything, or else you're labeled dogmatic. And this is to say that we can't know anything, that we can't be assured of any solid facts, that we're doomed to live in confusion and bewilderment and uncertainty in our own attempt to climb into some answers. Look, there is a mystery to the gospel. We will always be exploring, and that's the amazing thing about it. There are tensions and paradox that we wrestle with, but it is ultimately a mystery that has been revealed. Jesus has revealed to us the unseen God who is our Father. We may not have all the answers, but the answer has us. We can be certain that Jesus Christ has finished the job. We can be absolutely solid in our trust of Him, and in Him all the riches of the Godhead have been plainly published for us to see. I see a people emerging who are sick of the legalism on the one hand and the existentialism. There's no right and wrong, just do whatever, on the other hand. If you've been feeling pulled like you're too liberal for Christians and too conservative for the world, you might just be in a good place. If you're sick of seeing the church being totally irrelevant, and at the same time, sick of seeing the church throwing truth out the window just in order to chase down that very relevance, well, you might be in a good place. I believe in relevance, but I also love our distinction from the world. We are a peculiar people. So what I'm saying, look, there is a place for criticism, but keep the critic on a measured leash. Deconstruction must always be for the greater purpose of building us up in the gospel, for the greater purpose of relationships, for the exaltation of His word. I want to be for something, not just tearing things down. Sarcasm, humor keeps our pride in check. It's amazing, but I don't want to be a bitter cynic. I think the Lord is going to liberate a lot of us from that bitter cynicism this year and return us to a place of childlike trust and joy, an innocence that believes again. And that, again, is going to happen in relationship and in community, because in an atmosphere of trust, that is where trust is built and fostered. I don't want to just talk about our future year. In fact, look, even in all the events and trips that we have coming up for 2015, we want to tangibly live our prophetic future. I think a big focus on this coming season, theologically, is going to be on Christology. Not just what Jesus accomplished in His saving act, but who He is in His very person, in the incarnation. Mountain loads of religious dead works and mindsets of separation are going to slough away. I have been getting hammered drunk on Christology for years. We've been intoxicated on His saving act on the cross. But His person and His work, these two things can't be separated. There's something on His person, His being in the incarnation as the living merger between God and my human flesh. We're going to be mesmerized by Jesus afresh this year. I can't be separated from Him any more than Christ can be divided. And speaking of this, and speaking of community and togetherness, look, I want to give you, just practically here, a heads up on one thing we're doing here early in 2015, in February and March. I'm going to be doing a USA tour with Tim Wright leading worship. It's going to come to 4 cities in America. We're going to come to Cleveland, Ohio, the Great Lakes. We're going to come to Newport News, Virginia, Kansas City, and Southern California. We are going to be blind drunk on some 200 proof Christology. Some of you may not recover from this. See, while this message is timeless, God does bring awakenings and highlights truth in season that we couldn't maybe comprehend earlier on. Just like Jesus told the disciples, I have many things to say to you, but you're not ready for them yet. And there is something on the gatherings these days where folks have had their wits end of religion and they just want reality. So I'm having liberty to share such deep stuff that honestly people didn't have ears to hear only just 2 or 3 years ago. We did a tour this last fall and the whack was so heavy on it. I was able to share stuff, one sentence of which would have driven people out years ago. But the Spirit is bringing such receptivity now. I think I maybe drove away 1 row of people last fall. Anyway, this tour in February is going to be a strong drink, my friend. It is worth the drive. Even take the risk of bringing some gospel newbies along, okay? What it is, honestly, It is the spirit of revelation. That atmosphere, boom, it just pops people's eyes open effortlessly. I think it's what guys were moving in heavily back in the 90s, like in the prophetic movement, but they didn't move forward because, to start talking about the cross now all the time, it seemed like moving backwards to the basics. They thought the cross was just the intro program, but the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. And so in this atmosphere, boom, stuff just sinks in that would have taken years of painstaking study just to talk yourself over your own offense. I don't just mean theology here. I mean a tangible, experiential union with God. So yeah, look, if you're in the Great Lakes area, come to Cleveland. East Coast, come to Virginia. Midwest, Kansas City. If you're in Southern California, come to Port Hueneme, right by Santa Barbara there. Go to thenewmystics.com/tours if you want to join us on that. And look, if you're in other parts of the world that you just can't fly in for this thing, we actually have some even more in-depth intensives coming up. So while I'm giving you a little rundown on 2015, let me tell you that we still do our mystical schools, because for starters, the thing's always changing and evolving anyway. Mystical school is just kind of the label we put on 3 days of unpackaging the message and the whack. But it's 3 days of a fire hydrant blast of revelation and a supernatural atmosphere of joy unspeakable, just realizing what we already have inside of us. So for those of you who you're tracking with us and you're walking with us, again, I want to give you a heads up. This week here on the Jesus Trip, what's on tap for 2015? I may be coming to your area and you don't even know it. Okay, just this week, I'm going to be in Houston, Texas. Probably the last time I'll be in Texas for a couple years. Come join us. Then we're in the UK, in Liverpool, England. Then I'm in Reykjavik, Iceland. Basel, Switzerland. It's going to be translated into German. And then folks are already signing up for our North California school. That's in Chico. And we got ministry school discounts for that one. I'm in Las Vegas in March also, and then a mystical school in Colorado, and then Jacksonville, Florida, and then off to Chicago. So just find one of these places that's near you. That's it for the first half of the year. All of them, you can find them, thenewmystics.com/schools, okay? Now, again, look, I'm really sensing people are craving connection, not just forced community around a religious spirit, but genuine community around the Holy Spirit that is only possible in the liberty of the gospel. And to be honest, I believe that's why a lot of people even come to our stuff. They meet other people who are like-minded. If it was just listening to teaching, dude, there's countless hours of free stuff we bang out online. But being in a real atmosphere with other believers, drinking together, making connections all around the world, there's some sort of grassroots ecstatic thing happening. And I don't always like to call it a movement, because it's really just waking up the ordinary, happy Christian life. And God has relationships for us in this thing. He doesn't intend us to walk it out alone, okay? And look, it's not just about us here at Sons of Thunder. There are tons of young guys who are running with this, who are blowing up the map like a new breed of circuit riders. And for all the trash, that we talk about people idolizing ministry, there are some genuine young guys coming up who know what ministry is about. It's not an end in itself. It's not building your own kingdoms. It is loving and investing in people genuinely, and that is what life is all about. So look, along these lines, there's still a huge interest in our Cana New Wine Seminary. Next summer, a lot of people, they want to grow in grace. They want to give it away. And not only have we gathered some of the best grace preachers on the planet, it's not just who we have on the roster, but the unity in the message that's being conveyed. Our plan is to do one more summer in Portland in 2015. But look, if the interest keeps growing, there are so many, they can't uproot their lives for a whole summer. We may make our entire seminary, our 3-month school, available online. Okay, something we're thinking about. If it's something that interests you, email us, message us, Facebook us about it. Okay, the more positive feedback we get to transition Cana to an online school, the more apt we are to do it. All right, so look, if you want to find out about it, see who the speakers are, whatever, you can go to cana.co. All right. And look, finally, real quickly here, another emphasis I believe the Lord is continually highlighting for us in 2015 is really nothing new. It is to remember the poor. And this is the very thing I want to do. I wish I could spend my entire life on the mission field, go hang out with our kids in India, all our children's homes. But look, the church in the West still needs a major awakening to the gospel as well. So I feel a major call to reproduce myself and teach over here. But look, this next year we have 3 mission trips where you can actually join us on the mission field, see miracles happen under your own hands, see Jesus in the slums, bind up the brokenhearted. Let me just tell you about these, give you a rundown. 2015, we have a Mexico trip coming up this spring. Now the sign-up deadline was the end of December, but if you email us, you get your application in real quickly this next week. We could probably slip in a couple more people. Also, a lot of you have been asking, you want to join us for something a little more dangerous, and there's a lot of glory on going to places where you could be decapitated. And so for the first time since 2008, I'm opening up one of my Middle East mission trips to applicants who want to join the team. We're going to go to Amman, Jordan for a gathering of surrounding Arab nations, Lebanon, Syria, you name it. Plus, we're going to visit the refugee camps where people are fleeing from war-torn Syria at the moment. We're going to feed them, love them, spend some time with them, share with them. And then finally this fall, we're heading to the slums and leper colonies of Indonesia. We're going to kiss the lepers. We're going to go right to the margins of society. And there's also a big grace movement happening right there now. And people are getting hold of my stuff. They're getting hold of Joseph Prince's stuff. So we're going to have a big, massive gospel grace blowout in Jakarta, Indonesia. You can find all these trips at thenewmystics.com/mission. All right? Now, all of this may sound quite overwhelming, like a big promo, and you don't even know where to begin. Well, we have to spread the word about this stuff somehow, okay? And maybe you can't be part of everything, but don't get paralyzed and end up doing nothing. Just find one trip or one school, maybe Cana, that you want to attend, and start making some steps to be part. Our whole goal in ministry is to empower people and to give them a platform to launch them into their own respective callings. And we're not just gathering people to ourselves. It's all about releasing guys. That's what this gospel is. And learning to walk out, by faith for time and finances for these kind of things. That's just part of the journey that God takes us on. And sometimes it's just getting in that atmosphere where other like-minded people, you're rubbing shoulders with them, you're actually diving in physically to the stuff, and that impartation just causes that fullness that's already in your belly to start bubbling out, all right? There is a blessing, again, on pilgrimage and just coming aside, resting and drinking in the message, as well as going out, giving it away to the poor. It's priceless. So, in a nutshell, that is some of what we see the Lord emphasizing in these days, as well as a rundown on what we're doing this year, plus giving you a little beginning of the year heads up on the traveling circus that we will personally be hosting around the globe. And look, quickly, this is also a good time to give a personal message here at the beginning of the year. Over the years, so many supporters have enabled us to run with the message. You have literally been doing this with us through your support, and I want to say thank you. I don't do this enough. I may not always seem the sentimental type, but I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. A lot of ministries, they spend 75% of their time stroking their partners and sending out updates and support letters to keep the cash flowing. But we have some of the most faithful people. They just allow me to do the work of the ministry. I honestly can't even remember the last time we sent them a partner update, but you guys aren't in it for the strokes. And so we appreciate you. And I can say without hesitation, we have some of the most genuine partners who sincerely want to see the message go out. For that, I am thankful, all right? Not just our financial partners. There's so many of you guys who've tracked with us over the years. You've taken heat just because you regularly repost our videos on Facebook or our conference flyers online, associating with the infamous Crowder brand. Look, without a grassroots movement of people spreading the news about these kind of activities, we would have folded years ago. All the big charismatic publications and websites are afraid of us because they don't understand us. But so many faithful friends, gospel drinkers who believe in what we do. To all of you, I want to say thank you. And words cannot express our love and our gratitude. 2015 is going to be an amazing year. Enjoy a fresh start. Expect the best. And know you are not walking in this journey alone. Bless you guys. We'll see you next week.